I still remember the morning it all started. The sound of engines roaring outside my window, not one or two, but several. When I stepped outside, I saw a line of men in neon vests and hard hats standing on my front lawn like they owned the place. My name's Ethan Cole, and for 15 years I've lived in this quiet Arizona neighborhood. I bought this land with my own savings, built every fence post myself, and planted every tree you see around me. It was supposed to be peaceful until the HOA got a new president, a woman named Gloria Myers, who decided my country-style house didn't fit her vision of a modern community. At first, it was small things, letters about paint color, complaints about my old pickup truck, even fines for leaving a garden hose uncoiled. But then one day I woke up to find heavy machinery digging a trench around my property. Gloria claimed it was for community drainage. But deep down, I knew what it really was, a message. That's when I decided to turn on my hidden cameras, because if the HOA wanted a war, I was going to make sure every second of it was caught on tape the next morning. I watched from my window as two construction workers stretched yellow tape across my driveway. One of them hammered a wooden post right where my truck usually parks. My phone buzzed. It was another HOA text alert, this time warning that vehicles blocking community access routes would be fined. The message felt personal. I stepped outside, camera in hand, and asked them who authorized the work. They didn't look at me. One guy shrugged and said, "Talk to your HOA, man. We just follow orders." When I asked for paperwork, they laughed and drove off. Leaving behind a mess of mud and diesel fumes that evening, I walked to Gloria's house. She lived 3 streets over in one of those spotless, 2-story homes with trimmed hedges and a "Welcome Friends" sign that couldn't be more ironic. She opened the door halfway, clearly expecting me. "Ethan," she said with a smirk, "if you're here about the drainage, you'll have to take it up at next month's meeting." "You mean after you've already torn up my yard?" I asked. Her smile never faded. "Some sacrifices have to be made for the greater good of the neighborhood." I could tell she was enjoying this. That was the first time I saw the look, the smug, power-drunk grin of someone who believed they were untouchable by the third day. The trench had completely surrounded my property. My mailbox was blocked and delivery trucks refused to come down my street. One of my neighbors, Linda, came by with groceries since even my driveway was half buried in dirt. She told me the same thing had happened to another homeowner last year, fined them until they sold the house. They called it voluntary relocation. That night, I decided to check the footage from my hidden cameras. What I found made my blood boil. Around midnight, Gloria herself had come by with 2 board members, pointing flashlights at my property line, marking spots with spray paint and laughing. They didn't know the camera hidden in the oak tree saw everything over the next few days. I gathered evidence, timestamps, videos, audio, and even a few drone shots from a friend. My plan wasn't just to fight back. I wanted to expose them. When I brought the footage to the county zoning office, the officer raised an eyebrow. "They don't have any permit for that trench," he said. "In fact, they violated 3 property codes." He promised to look into it, but I knew bureaucracy moves slowly. I needed something faster, something that would make them stop now that weekend. I uploaded a short clip to a local Facebook group titled "When the AO Thinks They Own Your Land." Within hours, it had over 20,000 views. People couldn't believe it, the trench, the signs, the arrogance. The comments poured in. "Sue them. Name and shame the H. This is insane." By Monday morning, local news vans were parked on my street. Reporters were filming from the edge of the trench while Gloria stood in her driveway, pretending she had no idea what was going on with cameras turned on her. She tried to play victim. "We were only improving the neighborhood," she told one reporter. "Mr. Cole misunderstood our intentions." But the footage didn't lie. It showed her laughing while workers dug up my driveway. That video went viral overnight. Even the county sheriff showed up, asking her to stop all work until an investigation was complete. For a moment, I thought it was over, but I underestimated her. The next week, she doubled down. New letters arrived, fines for public defamation of HOA members, and a notice claiming I violated neighborhood peace. Clauses. She even threatened legal action for recording without consent. It was obvious she was spiraling, trying to regain control. What she didn't know was that I still had more footage, not just of the trench, but of her secret meetings with a local contractor who'd been overbilling the HOA for fake maintenance work. I contacted the same news reporter who first covered my story. She was eager for an update. 2 days later, her segment aired on the evening news. HOA president accused of property damage and fraud. The entire town watched it. The next morning, Gloria's house was surrounded not by neighbors this time, but by investigators. I watched from my porch as they carried out boxes of files and computers. The trench around my house sat half-filled, abandoned, like a monument to her downfall. By the end of the week, she resigned. The HOA issued a formal apology and was fined by the county for unauthorized construction. And as for me, the community voted to dissolve the HOA entirely within a month. The trench eventually got filled, but I left a small patch near my driveway untouched, a reminder of what happens when power goes unchecked. Sometimes I still look at that dirt line and think about how close they came to taking everything I worked for. But thanks to a few hidden cameras, a stubborn heart, and a little bit of patience, I got my land and my peace back. The morning after Gloria resigned, the air felt different. For the first time in months, the street was quiet. No rumble of construction trucks, no metallic clang of backhoes, and no fake smiles from HOA board members pretending they were saving the neighborhood. Just silence, thick and unfamiliar. I stood on my porch, coffee in hand, banjo lying beside me, staring at that trench half-filled, uneven, cutting across my land like an old scar. I told myself it was over, but deep down, I knew it wasn't. People like Gloria never go quietly. The county had ordered the HOA to cease all activity until further notice. But 2 days later, I caught sight of a familiar SUV parked near the old HOA office. Same spotless white paint, same vanity plate, Gloria 1. She was sitting inside, talking to someone. When she noticed me watching, she rolled down her window and smiled, not the smug Victoria's smile from before, but something colder. "Enjoy your moment, Ethan," she said. "But this isn't over. You embarrassed the wrong people." Then she drove off. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing her words over and over. The wrong people. I thought she meant the HOA board, maybe her lawyer friends. But 2 days later, I realized what she meant. I woke to the sound of tires crunching gravel again. When I stepped outside, there were no backhoes this time, no official trucks. Just a pickup, dark green, tinted windows, idling at the edge of the property. It sat there for 10 minutes, then drove off. I didn't think much of it until I found the note taped to my gate. Should have sold when you had the chance. No signature, no logo, just words scrawled in thick black marker. I took it straight to the sheriff's office. Deputy Wilkins looked more serious this time. "You think it's her?" he asked. "Who else?" I replied. "She's got money, connections, and a bruised ego." He nodded slowly, taking the note into evidence. "We'll keep an eye out," he said, but his tone told me not to expect much for the next week. Nothing happened. The HOA office stayed dark, the trench lay still, and I started thinking maybe I was just being paranoid. Until the night the lights went out. It was around 11:30 p.m. The power flickered once, then again, and suddenly everything went black. Not just my house, the whole stretch of road. Banjo started barking from the porch, low and frantic. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped outside. The moonlight caught something movement near the well. I swung the beam toward it and froze. 2 figures dressed in dark clothes, crouching near the pump. "Hey!" I shouted. One of them bolted immediately, sprinting toward the road. The other stumbled, dropped something metallic, and vanished into the trees. When I reached the well, I found a pair of wire cutters and a severed pipe. They'd tried to cut the main water line. I called 911. The sheriff's car arrived 20 minutes later, but whoever had been there was long gone. "Probably vandals," the deputy said, shining his light into the woods. "You've been in the news. People might think it's funny." I didn't laugh. Funny didn't explain the precision cut to my water main. Funny didn't explain the note after that. I upgraded everything, new cameras, extra floodlights, and even motion alarms along the fence line. My property looked like a small military base by the end of the week. But the thing about people like Gloria, they count on you to get tired. They wait until you lower your guard 3 nights later. Around 2 a.m., my phone pinged motion detected on the west camera. I opened the feed and saw headlights flashing across the edge of the trench. A man stepped out holding a gas can. He started pouring it along the dirt, slow and deliberate. I didn't even think. I grabbed my shotgun and ran. By the time I reached the fence, he was gone, but the smell of gasoline lingered in the air. I called the sheriff again. This time, they didn't hesitate. Within an hour, there were patrol cars and K-9 units combing the woods. They found tire tracks leading back toward the main road, the same tire pattern as Gloria's SUV that was the final straw for the county. The next morning, the HOA bank account was frozen pending investigation. The developers who'd funded the project backed out completely. Gloria was officially removed as president, and warrants were issued for property damage and harassment. But even then, I didn't feel safe. Not yet. The news ran a follow-up story, man targeted after exposing corrupt HOA. It got millions of views online. My inbox was flooded again, this time with people from all over the country sharing their own HOA horror stories. Some offered to start a legal fund. Others just said, "Thank you for standing up." For the first time, I realized it wasn't just my fight. This was happening everywhere: small towns, suburbs, even gated communities. People losing their homes over power trips and petty fines. By the end of the month, the HOA was officially dissolved. Every member of the board resigned except one, a quiet guy named Daniel Hayes. He came to see me personally. "Mr. Cole," he said, nervously adjusting his glasses, "I just wanted to say, you were right. About all of it." We got blinded by her charm. He handed me a folder. Inside were internal emails, invoices, and meeting notes. Proof of everything Gloria had done. Fraud, overbilling, and even illegal kickbacks from construction companies. I thanked him, then handed it all over to the county attorney. A week later, Gloria was arrested at her home for conspiracy, fraud, and vandalism. She tried to claim I forged everything, but the evidence was overwhelming. When they took her away, cameras caught her shouting, "This isn't over." Maybe she believed it. But for me, it finally was. In the months that followed, life slowly returned to normal. The trench was filled, the fences repaired, and my mailbox finally got mail again. Banjo stopped barking at every car that passed. The air smelled like peace again and diesel-free dirt. I rebuilt the porch steps, repainted the house, and even planted new wildflowers along the edge of the field where the machines had once torn through, but some things didn't go back to normal. The story had made me something of a local celebrity. People stopped me at diners, hardware stores, and even the gas station saying, "Hey, you're the guy from the HOA story." Some laughed and some looked at me like I was a folk hero. I never knew what to say. I didn't feel like a hero. I just wanted to live my life without someone trying to control it. One afternoon, a journalist from a national network called and wanted to do a full documentary, "The Man Who Took Down an HO." I agreed, but only under one condition. I didn't want it to be about revenge. I wanted it to be about freedom, about how one person can stand up when the system gets too heavy. The documentary aired 3 months later. It showed everything: the trench, the cameras, the corruption, the arrest. But what people remembered most wasn't Gloria's downfall. It was the final shot: me sitting on my porch at sunset, Banjo beside me, the land stretching out behind us, untouched. That image went viral on its own. Someone even made it into a painting and mailed me a copy. It hangs in my living room now, right above the fireplace. Sometimes I still get letters. People ask for advice. How do I fight my HOA? How do I stand up to people in power? I always tell them the same thing. Start with the truth. Record everything. And don't back down, no matter how small they make you feel. A year later, I got a call from Daniel again. "They're planning to rebuild the community," he said. "Without an HOA, just independent homeowners, shared upkeep, and fair rules." I laughed. "Sounds like what we should have had all along." He invited me to the first meeting. I almost didn't go. Part of me didn't want to step into another circle of promises. But when I arrived, something felt different. No suits, no smug smiles, no fake agendas. Just neighbors, real people. They thanked me one by one. A woman named Mary even brought cookies. For the first time in years, I felt like I actually belonged here. As the sun went down that evening, I took a walk to the far edge of my property. The grass had grown tall again, swaying gently in the breeze. I stopped at the spot where the trench used to be and crouched down, running my fingers through the soft earth. It was warm, alive like the land had healed itself. Banjo barked once, chasing a rabbit through the field, and I laughed. For so long, this place had felt like a battleground. Now, it finally felt like home again, but there's one thing I'll never forget: the way power hides behind politeness. The way people can twist community into control. It's not about lawns or mailboxes or paint colors. It's about who decides what's right for everyone else. And as long as I live here, on this land my father left me, nobody decides that but me one night. Months later, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside was a photo and aerial shot of my property, perfectly square, green, and peaceful. On the back, written in neat handwriting, were 4 words: "Keep it that way." I never found out who sent it. Maybe Daniel, maybe the county officer, maybe someone who just wanted to remind me what I fought for. But I keep that photo on my desk. Whenever I feel the weight of the world trying to push me back into a corner, I look at it and remember they built a trench to isolate me. Instead, they dug their own grave because some land, some peace, and some freedom you just can't buy so. What do you think? Was Ethan right to stand his ground? Or did the HOA get what it truly deserved in the end? Tell us your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing what you think about these unbelievable stories if you enjoyed this one. Don't forget to like the video, share it with a friend who loves good neighborhood drama, and subscribe for more real-life stories.